Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. So a couple of hours ago, actually 12 hours ago, I actually put a post on Patreon just describing this couple that went missing as non-news. You might think, why on earth are you reporting on non-news if you think it's non-news? Well, the reason being that the couple have just been found deceased. Their vehicle crashed down an embankment and it's just been found. And so I think it's fair to say one can scratch this particular case off the sort of docket in terms of it being related to Kylie Rodney. If you think there's some predator out there and the same predator, in being involved in both cases, well, the only possible similarity is that there was, a vehicle leaving the road. So it's kind of a random similarity, if you will. So there's actually very little news on this, actually surprisingly little news, but around about 5 o'clock yesterday evening, the Nevada County Regional Dispatch Center received a call from Gridley Police Department. What had happened was they'd found a vehicle that seemed to have crashed off Highway 20, in the Poker Flats Road area. And so when they sort of looked closer, they saw that this vehicle had lodged behind some brush. And then when they paid even further attention, they noticed there were skid marks visible in the dirt on the highway shoulder, right? And that's according to Yuba City Police Department. The first responders at the scene went down to the vehicle and they found a male and a female, both deceased, and they've been tentatively identified as 36-year-old Zavala, and the female has been confirmed to be 29-year-old Pantoja. That's according to Yuba City Police Department. Now, I think there's an important reason why we need to think about this case, even though we're kind of saying it's irrelevant in terms of the precise circumstances of what happened to Kylie. In other words, we're just saying what happened to Kylie was separate, right? But there's quite an important insight coming from this that we need to nevertheless bear in mind. Before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Like, share, leave a comment. At the end of this episode, I'm going to be telling you about the next episode following this, and I'm busy working on the script as I'm working on this episode. And then I'll also be doing my first live stream on the Kylie Rodney case. That'll likely be on Saturday. Could be Friday, but maybe Saturday. And that'll be, I think, quite an interesting episode as well. We're going to be going into an area that, as far as I can see, no one has covered yet. So stay tuned and look out for that. And let's get started. So I think the main insight to focus on in terms of this missing couple is the timeline. The fact that it took almost 2 weeks to locate this couple and their car suggests that we can't confidently rule out the same outcome in the Kylie Rodney case, right? We can't say for sure that what happened to Kylie is that her vehicle just left the road and we just haven't been able to find her vehicle, right? I'm also kind of surprised that the search teams looking for Kylie didn't actually find this couple. And the fact that they didn't shows you that it's not so easy finding a vehicle that is like a crushed tin can in the foliage of these deep ravines, right? There was also another similar case. I've already spoken about this previously, but there was another case last year, also in California, but further north, where it took a month to locate Courtney Bryan in her vehicle. And I think it's worth bearing in mind. I've taken a lot of flack from some of you for saying, be careful pointing the finger at, for example, Sammy Smith. One's got to be cautious. There could be quite a few different explanations here. Well, this is an explanation that would have no one really responsible, right? I suppose if you really wanted to, you could say it's Sammy's fault that she allowed Kylie to drive. You could say that. But what I'm trying to get at is, in a scenario where it is a traffic accident, really, who are you going to blame in a situation like that? And that is, I think, a possibility that shouldn't be excluded. I wouldn't say that I'm extremely confident that this is what happened, but it certainly is a possibility that one's got to bear in mind. One's got to keep on the back burner. And I think it's perhaps the most innocent possibility, where no one else is technically at fault. I'm not saying it's there's no blame whatsoever, but it's the least blameworthy scenario of the ones that we're going to be talking about. Now, I have to say, my first response to this couple was that it reminded me of the Moab incident with the Gabby Petito case. So you kind of had the news cycle stalling on the Gabby Petito case, and then social media trying to make a meal of it, saying, trying to make whatever the situation was worse and more intriguing and like a conspiracy theory. I think the common sense approach is to follow the lead of law enforcement, which is written in black and white, loud and clear, and quite simply in the second paragraph of News Nation's coverage, where they simply said, authorities say they were not linking the three cases together. And now I think the three cases being Kylie and the man and the woman, they didn't know for sure that they would be found together. So it's actually two cases. But in any event, I think that has been borne out. That has been shown to be accurate, what the authorities believed. I think how it started as a potential meal for content is the cases happened at about the same time and at about the same area. But actually, if you dig down into a bit more detail, they were separated by about a full day, if not more. Kylie disappeared in the early hours of August 6, so very early hours, just past midnight, whereas Zavala and Pantoja disappeared, as I understand it, on the evening of August 6th. So, at least 20 hours later, something like that. Kylie was reported missing on the morning of August 6th. So Kylie was actually reported missing when Zavala and Pantoja were still kind of around. It's not as though they disappeared at the same time. The couple were reported missing the next day, so about 24 hours later, on the morning of August 7th. They've just been found now on the 17th. So it took a full 10 days to locate their vehicle. And so that is, in a way, what we are up against. I must say, it's pretty scary how in the 21st century people seemingly vanish with such ease. A year ago it was Summer Wells. 2 years before that, Suzanne Morphew. Just 8 years ago, an entire Boeing 777 disappeared with 239 people on board. The official story is that the plane is somewhere, get this, somewhere in the southern Indian Ocean. We like to think we know a lot, and as true crime rocket scientists, we especially like to believe that we know more than most, but sometimes strange things happen, simple things, that elude us. Sometimes, alas, the darkness wins. So I'm not going to take it further than that. This is a photograph of a vehicle that went off the road quite close to Kylie's home. And the question is, did this happen to Kylie? Now, in the next episode, I'm going to be talking about the second most significant clue, in my opinion, to the circumstances that have taken place that no one has thought about, no one has spoken about. And then I'll be doing a live stream where I'll be going through the fabric of Kylie's backstory in more detail. So look out for that. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.